Okay, the first lady that I'm going to talk about today is Edith Clarke.
Yes.
And I want you to look at the dates for Edith Clarke. She was born in 1883 and she lived till 1959. But Edith was the first professionally employed female electrical engineer and the first full-time female professor of electrical engineering in the country.
Wow.
And to do this during that time period, this is way before women's lib. And so this is, a really a remarkable feat. Now, Edith Clarke, as a Howard County Woman of the Year, she is an extraordinary woman with the most achievements and accomplishments in an era where women were discouraged and or prevented from advancing. She was a pioneer in the electrical engineering who used math to improve our understanding of power transmission. She was the first professionally employed female electrical engineer and the first full-time professor of electrical engineering in the country. Now, you'll notice here, this is Arlington, and this is where Edith was born. And if this looks familiar to you, today, this is the clubhouse of the Fairway Hills Golf Club.
Wow.
But this is a historical house, and this is where she was born. One of 9 children, Edith Clarke was born to lawyer and Maryland State's Attorney John Ridgely Clarke and Susan Dorsey Owings on February 10th, 1883, at the estate of Arlington, which is now the clubhouse for the Fairway Hills Golf Course. After being orphaned at the age of 12, she was raised by an older sister, and she became the ward of an uncle. And so she used her inheritance from her parents, and she studied mathematics and astronomy at Vassar College, where she graduated in 1908. And you'll notice at the top, it says wins honor at Vassar College. So she was an exceptional student at Vassar. And one of the things that she did while she lived in Howard County, last week, if you saw Sean's presentation, he did a presentation on Laura Byrne and also Lily Tyson Elliott, who were ladies of Ellicott City. Well, Edith played whist. It's a card game, and it's a rather complicated card game, and she had been playing that since she was a very young girl. But she would get together with those ladies and play cards with them, play whist. So they were all very bright women to play that game. Now, after college, Clarke taught mathematics and physics at a private school in San Francisco and at Marshall College. And she spent some time studying civil engineering at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, but left to become a computer at AT&T in 1912. And while at AT&T, she studied electrical engineering at Columbia University at night. Now, I have computer in quotes because I don't know if you saw the movie Hidden Figures about the African-American ladies who were computers. They did all the computations for NASA. Well, she did the same thing at AT&T because in 1912, we didn't have the computers that we know today. It was all done manually. So she was the personal computer at AT&T. Now, in 1918, Clarke enrolled at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which I would say that's quite an accomplishment in 1918 to go to such a prestigious school. And the following year, she became the first woman to earn a Master of Science in Electrical Engineering from MIT. She was the first woman to deliver a paper at the American Institute of Electrical Engineering. And she obtained professional standing by Tau Beta Pi. And she was the first woman named a fellow of the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. Now, it was during this time, well, sadly, you know, when she got out of college and went to MIT and everything, she was unable to find work in her field as an engineer in the early 1900s because, you know, things for women were very restricted back then. And so she went to work for General Electric as a supervisor of computers in the turbine engineering department. And during this time, she invented the Clarke calculator. This was an early graphing calculator, and this simple graphical device solved equations involving electrical currents, voltage, and impedance in power transmission lines. The device could solve line equations involving hyperbolic functions 10 times faster than the previous methods. And she filed a patent for the calculator in 1921, and it was granted in 1925. Now, I'd like to say at the end when we have questions, please don't ask me questions about this because this is way over my head. This is a very highly technical field. So in 1921, she took an absence from GE to teach physics at the Constantinople Women's College in Turkey because she was not allowed to do electrical engineering work, and she was not earning the same salary and had a lower professional status as the men doing the same work. So the next year, when she returned from Turkey, she was offered a job by GE and as a salaried electrical engineer in the Central Station Engineering Department. She was the first professional female electrical engineer in the United States. And she retired from General Electric in 1945. Okay, so she also worked on the design and building of the hydroelectrical dams in the West Hoover Dam.
Wow.
Contributing her electrical expertise to develop and install turbines that generate hydropower there to this day. They're still using the same work to this day. And here's an example of some transmissions lines that were designed by Clarke. And she also wrote a very influential textbook in 1943 in the field of power engineering. It's called Circuit Analysis of A to C Power Systems. In 1947, she joined the faculty of the Electrical Engineering Department of the University of Texas at Austin, making her the first female professor of electrical engineering in the country. She taught for 10 years and retired in 1957. In 1954, she received the Society of Women Engineers Achievement Award in recognition of her many original contributions to stability theory and circuit analysis, which she was presented by Evelyn Jeter, one of the SWE's founders and inventor of the automotive ignition transistor. Clarke was selected for inclusion in Women of Achievement in Maryland history in 1998, and was also included in American National Biography and Notable American Women of the Modern Period. So in 2015, Clarke was posthumously inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. We owe a debt of gratitude to Edith Clarke for her heroic work and her fortitude that paved the way for women of today. And certainly without her work, women would not be where they are in the workplace.